Good morning, listeners. You are now listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. My name's Aidan Ivers.
And I'm Nicole Pissarro.
And this is Floor of the Forgotten Borough, show dedicated to the beautiful place of Staten Island, New York. Nicole, how are you doing?
I'm doing good tonight. How are you?
I'm doing really well.
I'm excited to start.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And can you tell us what our topic is today?
So we're going to be talking about transportation in Staten Island today.
Transportation.
Oh, yeah.
That's such a vital, important part of living in Staten Island.
Exactly.
And actually, Nicole, we have some news to get through.
I think we should get started.
Really directly to what we're talking about. We're directly to transportation.
Tell us more.
Sure. According to SILive.com, our Staten Island news source, local elected officials around Staten Island are looking to use billions of dollars available from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act to finally extend the borough's HOV lane to span the full length of the Staten Island Expressway. Now, Nicole, you just started driving recently, right?
I did. I started driving when I was 16.
So, do you know what the HOV lane is?
Isn't it like, it's like something? I've heard of it. I'm not a highway driver yet. We're getting there still.
It's basically the lane with a diamond on it.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it stands for.
High occupancy vehicle lane, I'm pretty sure. High occupancy.
Okay.
That's for lanes with more, I'm not exactly sure, more than like one person definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much it goes up to, but it's meant for most people in one vehicle, right?
Yeah.
If you're driving on it, right?
Yeah.
HOV lane. So right now, the expressway's HOV lane goes from the Verrazano to Victory Boulevard exit, which forces drivers to merge back into travel lanes. Assemblyman Charles Fall and other Staten Island elected officials sent a joint letter to Governor Kathy Hochul, strongly requesting her to include the Staten Island Expressway HOV lane measure in the upcoming State Transportation Improvement Program, which happens every 5 years. They wrote in a letter, quote, "To Staten Island residents who face the unfortunate consequences of dealing with excessive traffic on daily commutes, this project is a no-brainer. An incomplete HOV lane is a recipe for a constant roadway congestion. We respectfully request that the well-overdue completion of the project be taken into consideration in the statewide transportation improvement program."
Yeah, I see the Staten Island Expressway. It's right by my house, so definitely know the construction. I was going to talk about the construction too. Like the construction over there is like crazy. They have a whole detour that to get like on the other side of Woolley, you have to go on Bradley Avenue and do a little detour. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry you have to deal with that, Nicole.
And it's crazy because it's going to be going on till 2024. Actually, it's next year. I felt like it was so long ago.
I mean, in Staten Island construction terms, that's about, give or take, maybe 2043, 2040.
Yeah. Maybe. We'll see. Because I remember thinking 2024, like, oh my goodness, that's so far from now, but it's actually 2023. So if it actually is in 2024, that'd be good, but we'll see how long it gets delayed and stuff.
You just mentioned how, next year it's supposed to be completed. Can you tell us more about the construction going on?
Yeah, definitely.
Around the Staten Island Expressway?
It says, the Governor Hochul announced this construction has been a $46 million investment. And the state senator Diane Savino said, "I am happy to have been part of securing funding for these much-needed projects. I want to thank the governor and the entire state DOT team for making these projects a priority. As any Staten Islander knows, the SIE is the lifeblood of our borough, and these improvements will undoubtedly help case congestion." So I definitely think it is good because it Staten Island streets can be very narrow, and that is bad because it could cause accidents. So I do think it will be more safer. It's just right now the current detour is crazy where I don't think any accidents have happened yet there.
Around your house, you mean?
Around my house, by over there.
Yeah.
It definitely takes getting used to because I'm used to going from Forest Hill Road to Woolley straight through that area, but I have to now do the detour. So it's just something you have to remember. And now you gotta get used to that. And then I feel like once I get used to it, then the construction's going to be done. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
But it's also, sure, it's necessary to do, but it also makes your neighborhood when these construction things go on, they makes it look really messy.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine like those like orange nets and the cones that are blocking.
There's so many signs, orange signs now in my neighborhood. It's like detour ends here. And it's just like, oh, whatever.
Well, luckily for me, I don't live off of the Staten Island Expressway.
Yeah.
So recently, those things haven't really been troubling to my house. Although I remember over 2020, right? There was some project that I don't know who got started by or whatever, but specifically around my neighborhood of Newdorp, people's streets corners, right? Like I live off a street called North Railroad Avenue, which is like parallel to Staten Island Railway, which we're going to discuss soon.
Oh, yeah.
But people's streets also are connected off of that, and there's crosswalks. And a lot of crosswalks have those orange nets and orange large cones around them because they were getting like broken apart, and I guess they're going to put new crosswalks on it.
Okay.
But it just looks so ugly when I was walking.
Yeah, because I feel like when it's going through the construction, it's not a pretty sight. But once they do pave the roads, and then it's worth it. It just takes so long to get there. And there's even a crossing guard over there because they have to like move the traffic because it could get really confusing on who has the right of way and who can go.
Yeah, I mean, around my house too, there's a church, like a parish church.
Yeah.
And same thing happened with them a few years ago.
Oh, really?
I think they had like a pipe problem or sewer problem, and that led right to the street, so they had to break it up. And I think I remember it was before the pandemic. Just my block, I'm pretty sure, lost power for a few hours.
Wow.
Nobody else around me, just because they were doing construction.
Just your block.
When those things, now it's done, like my parish construction, but when it's done, it's, you start to forget about all the mishaps that go on, But
what other news stories do we have?
Another bad problem going on around Staten Island right now is carjackings going on. People's cars getting stolen.
Yeah.
Right? And the funny thing is, on SI Live, right? SI Live's been tracking these problems as well.
Really?
Like, as they happen. Some of them you can't track, but there's been a couple of instances where the same gray Audi tried to steal 2 different luxury cars.
That's crazy.
Somebody's driving the gray Audi. Somebody gets out of the gray Audi from the passenger side, tries to steal the car, and then when it doesn't work, they just run back and then drive away.
That's
not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Nicole, another article that SI Live wrote, right?
Yeah.
It's connected to this problem, this crisis of carjacking.
Oh, really?
Because SI Live wrote that some auto insurance companies throughout the United States are now refusing to offer coverage on select Hyundai and Kia models from them lacking anti-theft features. Wow. And there's kind of been a push to, like we've seen over the last few years, that these car companies have been creating hybrid cars, meaning they're powered by both gas and electricity. And as I live wrote, this past September, the Highway Loss Data Institute released an analysis citing Hyundai and Kia vehicles from 2015 to 2019 are twice as likely to be stolen than vehicles from all other manufacturers. And if you drive around Staten Island, Nicole, a lot of people have Hyundais and a lot of people have Kias.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people do.
SILA wrote the reason for this is that these rates can be attributed to the fact that the newer Hyundai and Kia cars do not have an electronic immobilizer in them, which makes it more difficult to actually steal the car. So I'm not a car...
How does that work?
I'm not a car thief, Nicole, so...
Yeah.
I mean, you can't start it without the key, right?
Yeah, you need... I don't know how that works.
I mean...
I'm not in the brain mindset of a car stealer, but...
I mean...
I know there are cars that, like, they have anti-theft features. I don't know what those are. I'm not a big car person, so I don't know. I don't even know if my car has it.
Yeah, but it's just feel bad for the people who... Yeah. I mean, there's some times where there's people are driving around with, like, Corvettes, Porsches.
Yeah, there's
really
a car by my block, and it's a really nice car. They have, like, a car show at my church all the time, and some people have really nice cars, and I feel bad if, like, people are trying to steal into them.
Yeah. Like, it's really unfortunate. It's people,
Yeah.
some motives of people on Staten Island, But why don't we get into another portion of Staten Island
So
transportation around
another
the boat?
portion of Staten Island transportation is the Staten Island Ferry. So it was founded in 1817, and it is a round trip that is approximately 25 minutes, and it is a free service provided by the City of New York, and you do not need a ticket. The Staten Island Ferry travels between the St. George Ferry Terminal in Staten Island and the Whitehall Ferry Terminal, which is also known as South Ferry in Manhattan. It is popular since it's the only direct mass transit connection between the two boroughs. And you can also, when you take the ride at the Staten Island Ferry, you can pass by the Statue of Liberty, and it's a beautiful sight to see, especially since it's free. It's a free seeing Statue of Liberty, take a nice little photo. According to the ferry's Facebook page, Wednesdays are the busiest days of the week from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., and they're the most crowded. So I think I've been on the Staten Island Ferry once. I don't go to the city often. And usually when I do go to the city, I take the bus. So we'll be talking about that later.
Yeah.
But usually at one time I think I remember going on the ferry with my family. And I don't remember much. I was really young. But I do remember sitting like on the ferry. And we were outside. And it was an interesting experience. And we did pass by the Statue of Liberty, which was really nice. And it's just another way to get to Manhattan. I personally would rather take a bus. I mean, either way, I'm not a big transportation person. I get car sick. So like I'm not a big like boat girl.
Okay.
Unless it's like a cruise. So that's an exception.
Have you been on the cruise, Nicole?
Oh, I've been on so many cruises.
Really?
Yes.
Oh man, I've never been on one, and I don't think I plan on. But that's another. That's
yeah. Anyways, don't get me started with that. I'll talk about that forever.
Okay. Well, personally, for me, Nicole, I'm kind of in the same boat as you.
Oh, there we go.
Because I also don't like going to Manhattan often.
Yeah.
And I've been on Staten Island Ferry more than once.
Okay.
Because there's some things where I don't remember being on it.
Yeah.
There's other times where in like 4th grade or even in high school, I went to work with my mom. My mom works in Manhattan.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was a nice trip with her on the ferry, right?
Yeah.
But, something else, Nicole, that is very beneficial to my mom is that I think most of the day she takes the ferry to work, right? And she would get dropped off at the South Ferry, the Southern Manhattan stop. But there's actually a new port that opened up. It's called a fast ferry.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it's it goes from St. George to directly where my mom works.
That's
so
great.
She really doesn't have to get on the subway at all. That she usually does.
It's very convenient, and it's good for people that really, if it's right there, you might as well just take the ferry.
Yeah, and most days I think my dad goes to around St. George, and he doesn't have to go through like the St. George like terminal itself. It pulls up like close to around where the Staten Island Ferry Hawks play.
Okay.
And that's another tribute to them because there was a lot of
Staten Island Ferry Hawks.
Yeah, there was a name contest that went on to name the former Staten Island Yankees.
Yeah.
And Staten Island Ferry Hawks took that place, which I think is very sentimental.
Yeah, I love that. That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the ferry is good. I remember when I did go on the ferry, I do remember leaving the city, and oh my goodness, I remember it was very crowded. I think it was about like 5 o'clock, which is like rush hour.
The worst time to leave.
Yeah, worst time to leave. I just remember like it was so crowded, like you couldn't see anything. It was just all you saw was just people.
Which I think, Nicole, is why the express bus might be the better option there.
Yeah.
Because sure, that might be crowded as well, but
it's not.
You don't have to deal with a lot of people around you.
Yeah. It just also gets chaotic. So many people talking. You don't know where you're going. Like especially if you don't know where you're going, it gets so chaotic. That's why in the city you need to know where you're going. You need to have a plan.
Yeah. Well, related to the Staten Island Ferry, Nicole, connected to it is, like you said, we mentioned before, the Staten Island Railway.
Oh, yeah.
Railway. And have you ever been on it, Nicole?
No.
You've never been on a Staten Island?
Have you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a railway in Staten Island.
To be fair, you live in Westerly, so
Yeah.
there's not really a train stop near you.
Near me.
No.
The construction's near me.
Yeah, but Staten Island Railway it's a train system.
Train system.
Yeah, around Staten Island. It's 14 miles long, 21 stations, and it runs 24/7. 24/7 trains.
Yeah.
And it's connected. It goes from St. George to Tottenville. So there's some portions like Westerly who don't have access.
Yeah. I don't have access to it. I mean, if I really wanted to go on it, I would have to go to like St. George or Tottenville.
Well, not even that. Like,
could I?
No, you go to the one nearest to your house.
Oh.
For me, like I said before, I live off of North Railroad Avenue, so
Okay.
that's parallel to the Staten Island Railway. So there's one right in New York.
Oh.
And
So, okay, what was your experience?
so
How was it?
when I was, like I said before, my mom takes the train to the ferry when she goes
Okay.
sometimes. So that's sometimes when we would take it from New York all the way to St. George, all the way.
Yeah.
And in high school, my very, very beginning of high school in freshman year, Monsignor Farrell, my high school I graduated from, is in Oakwood, which is directly next to the town, New York. It's like right next to each other, moving towards Tottenville, so moving south.
Yeah.
So most mornings I got on the train. The cool thing about Oakwood is that it's like built next to Monsignor Farrell. So like this train station, you just get off, walk up some stairs, and there's like a gate and a little path
Yeah.
that's meant for Farrell students to walk across.
Mhm.
So that's what we did. And I realized though that I was taking it to school, which wasn't really a problem because I got there on time. But after school, it really didn't save me a lot of time because we got out at 2:30, right?
Yeah.
And the train didn't come until like 3:00. So a bunch of Farrell guys would just be standing there just waiting for the train.
Like Staten Island hotspot, that the hours between 2 to 3. Everyone's getting out of school, high school. Like you got middle schools coming out, elementary schools. Every school is coming out, and it's just chaotic traffic at that time.
And there was also a time where I was going to school,
Yeah.
and my entire cart that I was on smelled like marijuana, and it was like every cubic inch of air was that. So
Yeah.
that wasn't fun. And you never know who you can see at the Staten Island Railway, because on the way home once, we saw a person who looked like they were in the band Kiss, like black hair, black and white face paint. It was like a day in February, like a weekday in February.
That's so random.
And like, I was like, you do you.
Sights,
Yeah, You do you. I mean,
Yeah.
I you don't know. You don't know if you can see.
You never know.
Yeah.
But
to move away from Staten Island Railway, Nicole, what other types of transportation are there around the best borough in New York City?
Oh yeah. Well, what we just said before about express buses, they have very different types of buses you can take in Staten Island to get across the island, as well as go to New York City. It's great for people who don't drive or need a form of public transportation. And yeah, I went to the city. Whenever I go to the city, I usually take an express bus. It's usually about an hour to get there. And, it's not that bad. It's a bus. Like, I've never been on a bus with, a crazy amount of people. But, I mean, I know there are buses that can get very crowded. But I've never been on a bus that was crazy. I usually go, every year, my mom's friends and their daughters and, me, my sister, and my mom, we do this girls' trip every year. It's called Girls' Day. And we usually go to the city, and we go to a Broadway show. And this past year, we went to, in August, we went to a Broadway show called Six, the musical. Did you ever hear of that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, we saw Six. It was a cool musical. It's like concert vibes. So it was really fun. And we took the express bus.
Cool.
And yeah, it's pretty good. I would say it's a smooth ride. It's an hour. It's not that bad. I mean, personally, I would rather take the express bus than Staten Island Ferry, but if I had to take the ferry, I would. But
Okay, that's a really cool story, Nicole. Really, it's good to hold those traditions close to.
yeah, we've been doing it for a decade
Oh
now.
my gosh.
Yeah, we were. I remember starting it. I was so young. My sister was 6, so I was like 8.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fun fact about me, Nicole, is I have never stepped foot into a city bus. You know those city buses?
Really? Yeah.
The ones away other than the express bus.
Yeah.
Never stepped foot in one ever to this day.
Really?
No, because I don't really have a reason to.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a reason to, I don't see a point in going in unless you need to get somewhere without a car.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, my sister recently has been going on them a lot because
Oh yeah.
she goes to and from sea with her friends sometimes.
Okay.
But I just had other options, like you said. Like my dad started picking me up from school, driving me home from Farrell, so I didn't really need to go to the train. And once I got my license myself, I had my own car.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of my first car was 2005 Hyundai Tucson.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Even though that car's no longer with us, I still love it dearly.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what happened to it. We just sold it to a person upstairs.
Oh yeah. So when did you get your first car?
So I took driver's ed at Monsignor Farrell in fall of 2019. So right before the pandemic started. I was really grateful for that.
That's
really
good.
Because I remember you said a couple weeks ago you took yours during the pandemic.
During the pandemic. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, but I took that, and then I took my permit test in September.
Okay.
And then I passed driver's ed in January 2020. Like we're talking right before the pandemic.
Wow,
January
that's
2020.
right before.
Yeah, and then because it was really difficult to schedule things, I didn't take my road test until July 2020.
Oh, so you waited a good amount longer on that time.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we did some practicing during that time.
Yeah.
My mom and my dad and I. And it was really helpful. And I'm actually really grateful for that experience at Monsignor Farrell with driver's ed. Because it was a lot of work and it was a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
But it was 100% worth it. 100%.
Yeah.
And yeah, my first car, I took my road test in the 2005 Hyundai Tucson. And I drove that to and from Farrell every time I went. Because it was only, like I said, the town beyond me. But when the time came to look for colleges, my mom and dad kind of said, yeah, you're not driving a long distance in a car that does not have four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
I at first I was a little sad.
Aw.
But now I drive a 2015 Nissan Rogue, and it's been a lot better.
Yeah.
Like,
so when did you get that one?
In February 2021.
Okay.
So my senior year, and that was, and I committed to Montclair in April 2021. So it was like right before college started.
Oh, that's
my mom and dad got a new Nissan Rogue. I got the hand-me-down, and I'm telling you, Nicole.
Yeah.
I am not giving that car up until it breaks. If it breaks, that's when.
So you're in love with your car.
I am like, yeah.
I know there's so many people that love their car, and then when it breaks down, they just start crying. It's
like it's 20. We're going on 10 years. 2025. I'm still having I'm having the same Nissan Rogue then.
Yeah, you got to keep it going. Keep it good.
What about you? Tell us about your driving experience.
Yeah, in high school. See, I didn't take the city bus either in high school because my mom would drive me my freshman and sophomore year. And junior year was COVID, so, didn't go to school, stayed at home. And then that during my junior year was when I got my license. So then senior year I drove. I was known as the soccer mom. I still drive it. I drive a 2006 minivan, and my dad used to drive it, but now he has a new car, and I got passed down with the minivan. So it's a silver minivan. I love it. I remember when I was younger, I thought the car was so big, and I used to sit in the back seat, and now I sit in the front seat. Now I'm the driver, and it's crazy how, life changes and we all grow up. But yeah, I love driving it. I was that car in high school that I had all the snacks. I had I could seat so many people in the car. Like it was like a party bus. It was so fun.
You have, how many rows of seats do you have?
So I have, you have 2 seats in the front, you have 2 seats in the back, and then 3 seats in like the back.
Okay.
And then you have the trunk.
And you don't put people in there, right?
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I don't know that many people to put a bunch of people in the car, but yeah, I had snacks. I also, so since it's a 2006 car, I have a CD player, so that's how I play my music. So I was really old,
That's really fun.
and I have all these. I have a basket of a bunch of different albums, CDs. It's mainly Taylor Swift, but I have a bunch of CDs, and we would play. It's so fun. But I love driving the van, and now my sister recently just started. Well, she's starting driver's ed soon, but she's got a permit, and she's been practicing on the van. So once she gets her license, we're probably going to be sharing the car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long of a wait is that until she gets her?
I mean, it depends on how she passes her road test. So she got her permit. She starts driver's ed, I think, in like this month. It's February. So I think next week or the week after she starts. So she should be done with driver's ed, I would say, by May. So then June, I'm sure. June is also her 17th birthday. See, I'll get to me. June is her birthday. So let's say if she passes her road test June or July, I would probably expect us to be sharing a car by summer if she passes her road test.
Yeah. I mean, my sister right now she's a little young to start driver's ed, but she's gonna do it in next year.
Yeah.
She's been practice driving.
That's good.
The same deal. So hopefully I don't have a doubt that when that time comes, she'll be good with it, because the permit test, all that it is
it's just written. It's
technically on the computer now. It's not anymore written, but
you
have to just look at what signs mean, basically.
It kind of is just a little basic knowledge of the road.
Yeah.
It's like the rules of the road test. It's not, because I feel like it's very different. Like a permit is very different from the road test, because the road test, you're actually driving on the street, and you have to know all that previous knowledge from the permit test, but it's mainly all hands-on.
Well, with my permit test, it was 20 questions, right? 20 questions.
It was like 20 multiple choice.
It was, I didn't have any questions that said, like, how do you do parallel park?
No, yeah, no.
It's basically science.
Yeah.
And I was actually really lucky during my road test, because I prevented a serious accident during mine.
Oh no, what happened?
So I took my road test around the neighborhood of Oakwood Beach.
Okay.
Which, we'll get into it. We'll talk about it later episodes. Not the best neighborhood, but it's away from all the main roads.
Okay.
It's just a little short streets.
Yeah.
Little neighborhood. That's where I took mine. And there were these cones around streets, and on one of them, my instructor told me to turn right. We were on a two-way street. He said, turn right. And as I was going to turn right, person came and almost hit the 2005 Hyundai Tucson. Almost hit. And I was lucky enough to hit on I put my foot on the brake.
Good.
Because I almost hit this person.
Yeah.
And of course, you know how Staten Island drivers can be, Nicole.
Oh yeah, Staten Island drivers can be a little crazy.
Yeah. So after we almost collided, the person shook her head at me.
Yeah. Oh, that's typical. That's typical.
I almost hit. You're the one riding on the wrong street. You're on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
And
some people just.
I don't mean to
I like to blame others.
Yeah, exactly. I might be a little bit guilty of that today as well. Still, like, blaming others for my wrong.
I mean, everyone is like bound to do it at some point in their life.
But I feel like there's also a limit for road rage too.
Oh yeah.
We've been seeing some crazy articles from Staten Island Live over the past few years. People pull out baseball bats on the Staten Island Expressway.
I've never seen that. That is funny.
There was an article I saw. I might have been. It was probably last year or 2021.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly why, but some guy got out of his car, smashed the person behind him, and they were recording it. Thankfully, the person in the passenger seat was recording the whole thing.
Oh my goodness.
So,
it's just, come on, don't get that. It's not that big of a problem if you're gonna hit someone with a bat. Like, come on,
we don't know what happened. Like,
that's silly now.
Yeah.
It's just now that's just immature. I remember I took driver's ed through Moore Catholic High School. This is my junior year, and it was a pretty good experience. I loved my driver's ed instructor. He was this little old guy, and I was even surprised he was able to be a driver's ed teacher. Like he was very, very fragile. Like he was really cute, but it was crazy. Like I was like, oh my goodness. But he was so cool. I remember the first time he took me out driving, like he was blasting 80s music. And I was like,
That's not good.
yeah, I know. I sat there and I was like, oh, I thought it was going to be silent. I was just going to drive for the first time. No, he was blasting 80s music. I was like, oh, okay. So he definitely taught me well. My dad also taught me how to drive too. So it was between two of them during junior year. And it was really hard. I remember I got my permit November of 20. I was 16 when I got my permit. I think it was 2019. Yes.
To November 2019.
It was November 2019.
Okay.
And I got my permit. And I had to get my permit in Brooklyn because in Staten Island, all the slots were filled.
That's really unfortunate.
Maybe it was 2020. I think it was 2020.
Okay.
Yes, it was 2020 because it was during COVID. It was like, it had to be during like pandemic era. But then I got my permit in Brooklyn. It was crazy. Like to get to the DMV in Brooklyn was just a lot.
You had to go on the Verrazano Bridge, right?
Yes, guy went on the Verrazano Bridge. Yeah, so we did that. And then I did driver's ed from like February to May of 2021. And even that was hard to get slots because so many people from the pandemic delayed them from getting their licenses. And I was like, I'm not letting this happen to me. I was like, my goal was to drive senior year. Like I wanted to feel like really cool and just have my license. So that was the goal. I was sticking to the goal. I was not letting the pandemic get in my way of driving senior year. So I did driver's ed for February to May. You had to do like lecture classes.
Yeah, through Monsignor Farrell.
Yeah, I mean like my lecture class, but yours in person. Well,
yeah, because it was before the pandemic. It was before the pandemic.
Yeah,
so.
Mine was over. It wasn't even over Zoom. It was just the instructor would send like an hour lecture, like a video, and just like make us watch it, and we had to like do this quiz every. Yeah, it was like a class.
Yeah,
and yeah,
we didn't watch movies in my lecture class. It was done by the Monsignor Farrell head dean.
Oh wow!
And it wasn't. I mean, yeah, there were some times where I was like, I don't want to be here, but it was. I don't regret doing it. He put in a lot of effort. There were some kids there who, of course, like didn't
do anything,
care at all. But
did they get their licenses?
I don't know, Nicole. I don't know. But there was. We did do like a midterm through my driver's ed, like a test.
Oh really? Like you did like a final bio?
Yeah. And overall, like I said, I'm just really grateful for those experiences.
Yeah.
To do that.
I feel like it's definitely in the moment annoying to do all. It's because you gotta put work into it. If you want to do something, you gotta work hard. And in the moment, I hated doing the quizzes. Like every week was a quiz, every week was a lecture, and then it was like every other week since it was COVID. We would like my instructor would take me out, but. I mean, looking back on it now, I'm so happy I did it and took the time to learn everything about the road. So, if anything happens now that I'm a driver, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And another thing, Nicole, is like nobody's a perfect driver.
Oh, yeah, no one is a perfect driver.
I mean, some people like to think that they are perfect drivers.
Yeah, some people do think they are perfect drivers and they're really not.
Yeah, they like to have those big trucks on the road.
Yeah.
There's actually a portion of Newdorp Beach, right? One of my friend's relatives lives around there.
Yeah.
And one of their neighbors has like monster trucks as their cars.
Because their cars.
I don't have a photo of it, but they have these huge wheels, and I don't even know if it's like a pickup truck frame, but it's like a truck. And you ever see those headlights that go above the roof of the car? There's things you can install where if you have a heavy duty truck, you can install headlights that go around.
I think I've seen that before. Yeah. And
these people have little smiley face balls where the headlight would go. That's pretty Staten Island.
That's
Pretty
very
Staten
Staten Island. My sister actually, oh, this was when she was really young. My sister went to one of her friend's birthday party when she was about, like, I would say like 9.
Okay.
And this girl wanted to have a pool party, but she didn't have a pool in her yard. So apparently her dad got this like pool lining thing, and he had a pickup truck, and he filled it with water, and that was their pool. And I was like,
Pickup truck? The back of a pickup truck?
yes. Like, I was like, first of all, how do you even get that to work? Where do you even come up with that idea? If I were you, I would have just gotten, those like blow up pools that you could get in like a store. I would have just gotten that. But like, that's wild, I feel like.
Did you go with it?
And I wasn't there. I wasn't friends with this girl. My sister, I don't think she might. She might have. But apparently, like, it was hose water. So hose water is like freezing cold.
I mean, you gotta work with what you have, Nicole, right?
And I guess, yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I remember also senior year. This is going back to like cars and driving and everything. But I remember my school had this thing called Senior Sunrise. Did you ever do this?
No.
Is it okay? It was a Wi-Fi thing. We would basically, what you would do is all the seniors would wake up at like 4 a.m. and go to the Midland Beach at 5 a.m. to see the sunrise and take a photo. Now, I'm saying that sounds so pointless. Like, why would you get up that early just to take a photo by the sunrise? Well, we were stupid. So we did. We ended up going. And we took a photo or whatever. And we ended up going to my friend Sam's house. But then, that was also, it was like October. And that's when I really started driving, like, by myself to school and stuff. And so I was still, I wouldn't say I was a good driver at that time.
Come on, Nicole.
I mean, I was good. I was still new to the road, like, on my own.
No. The bad drivers are the ones who, like, yes, they're learning, but they also know how to just keep everybody, like,
that's the thing. You gotta be cautious. You gotta be alert. You gotta know what you're doing.
Like, yeah.
And even I can definitely tell there's a difference when you're with an instructor than when you're alone.
Sure.
Because, with an instructor, they're gonna keep you focused. They're gonna also, you have that fear of like doing something bad in front of your instructor. And now that you're alone in the car, it's like it's another source of freedom, but you still have to be really cautious because it's all on you now. Like, there's no one that's gonna help you anymore. So I remember I was in the car, and Sam lives on a dead end, and I know, just as soon as you said dead end, it's just like, no. Okay, so I hate dead ends, but she was on a dead end, and I parked on her dead end, and it was fine, and it's very narrow. It's Staten Island. And so what happened was I was pulling out of the dead end, right? And there was an accessory truck that went zooming.
Accessory truck? What is
Yep.
that?
Like, it's like, it's like,
Accessory truck.
those, it's like trucks. It's a very small truck. Like, you could look it up.
Is it like the U-Haul ones?
Yeah, it's like, I think it's for like people that are in wheelchairs. I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So it was this truck.
Yeah.
And he, like, how do I explain it? He ended up hitting my car, but it wasn't like crazy. It wasn't bad, but it did hit my, like, I think it was the side of my car. And that was like my first like dilemma as a driver, and it was scary. But I'm glad I was right by like her house. Like, everything was fine, and they caught it on camera. Like, it was.
So, was it the truck's fault?
So.
Oh no.
Looking back, at the time I was like, it's truck's fault, but I think it was mine because I think I wasn't alert.
You weren't.
Because, like, at the time, I wasn't a driver that was so, like...
alert, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it was definitely me. I mean, I'm also, senior year, coming out of Wagner one day, I parked... This was when I parked, and I think I was parking on one of the streets by Wagner, and I was pretty far from the curb. And I have a reason of why I was far from the curb. Like, I would say it was, I mean, on the road test, it's like, if you hit the curb, you fail. And if you have to be, what, like a foot away from the curb? Is that it? I think it's like, you gotta have like a
40 or 90-degree angle from the car that you're falling behind.
Yeah. And it's also like, I think it's like your car itself has to be no more than a foot away from the curb. And I was definitely about like 2 feet away from the curb. And there's a reason why. So it was February, it snowed, and there was ice. Like that was taking up the foot of the curb that I would have parked like closer to.
Sure.
And so I was like, I mean, I don't know. Can you park on ice?
I mean, how thick was it?
It was pretty thick.
Okay.
I mean,
Then maybe not.
I know. I looking back, I should have parked somewhere else, but I parked there, and I was a good distance away from the curb, and it's a narrow street. So I walked to my car, and I saw my left rear view mirror was broken on the floor, like on the street, and I was like, what is this? And so basically, I guess what happened, I think, the guy left, someone leave a note? I think a guy left.
Are you serious?
I think someone, yes, this happened twice. So this is the first time I hit my rear mirror. So I remember, this is a 2006 minivan. Like, it's gotten a lot of damage, the accessory truck and this. And so the guy left a note. I don't know what he said, but he did leave a note. And he said, I don't remember what he said, but he was like, oh, someone, like, I'm assuming he was like speeding, or he was just driving and my car was just too far out from the curb that he hit my rearview mirror either without realizing it, or I don't remember I think he did leave a note. I don't remember what he said. And then also, now that I've done that before, now that like I've experienced like rearview mirror on the floor, I know that to stick my rearview mirror in whenever I'm on a narrow street. Do you do that?
No, not on my street, because my street's only one-sided parking.
Oh, okay. So I guess that's good.
But yeah, like if it's really narrow, then I will definitely do that.
Yeah.
Just to prevent it from breaking off.
Definitely. So that's what I started. That's what I did. And then another time. So now my dad had to get me a whole new rearview mirror. He installed it, whatever. So now I'm driving home from Wagner. This is like, I think it was like 3 months later. And I'm going, and so this was also a narrow street. And, on narrow streets, if it's like that narrow where like one car is coming from the right and the other one's coming from the left, you tend to move over to the right more so you could let the other guy pass. And I was doing that, and the guy purposely went on my car and just like purposely hit it, like the rearview mirror, and it was like.
You mean the left one?
Yes, the left car purposely.
Your left mirror though.
Yes, my left mirror.
Yeah.
He hit my left mirror, and he just like passed through. He like sped through like the red light, and I was like,
so hit and run.
Yeah, hit and run. And I mean, it wasn't like crazy bad, but again, rear mirror on the floor, like
Again.
Yes.
There's a room.
So then my dad ended up fixing it, but yeah, the minivan's been through a lot, especially the rear mirror.
So I can imagine like the frustration in that situation where your left mirror gets hit twice in 3 months, and then the driver doesn't even leave a note this time. He just speeds. He just drives off.
And I was like, well, what do I do in this situation? Because I think it is illegal. If you don't have a rear view mirror, you can't drive because it's dangerous. If you're not seeing the back of the car.
So I'm confused.
Yes.
So the car. How do they break off your rear view mirror if it's inside though? Are you talking about the outside one?
Oh,
outside.
Why am I calling it the rear?
Yeah.
Yes.
The left side one. Both times with the left side.
Yes, this is both left side. I did not mean rear view.
It's okay. Yeah. But I can definitely. That's great. How is it now? How's the left mirror now?
Left mirror is good. You could tell there's been damage to it, but
it works. It works.
As long as it works, you're good.
Okay. Well, luckily for me, Nicole, I haven't been in situations where, I remember one time in the Hyundai Tucson, I got rear-ended by somebody because they weren't paying attention to where I stopped. But luckily, no damage was done to either person's car, and both of us were good. Both drivers were good. But there have been times where almost accidents have occurred. Right?
Really?
Yeah, I remember. This is going off of memory now. I remember one time, my dad and I were practice driving, and there is like a ramp to get on. What is it? I think the Korean War Veterans Park.
Oh, I know. I've been on there.
Yeah, it's like right near the bus depot, like around Richmond Avenue.
Yes,
right?
I know what you're talking about.
So we were driving from Arthur Kill Road, like heading as if you're trying to turn on the ramp. Like
Okay.
we're driving from coming like in front of those cars. And there was one time where this white luxury car, I don't remember exactly which one, was trying to like do the thing where they think they're fast enough with your car's going, and he was I don't know, he was trying to go in front of me, and me as a driver, I thought, okay, well I understand that I have the right of way. This guy's supposed to wait for me, but I think I'm gonna let him go.
Yeah.
So I slowed down,
Okay.
and he didn't go, and they were caught behind me. So I basically, I think, almost caused 2 different accidents at one time.
No way.
One time. Because this guy was almost coming towards me, and these cars got up behind me,
Yeah.
and I was slowing down because I thought this guy was gonna go. Even though he was supposed to wait for me to go, but he was kind of in my way. But luckily, it's again like that alertness,
Yeah.
and we gotta put a cap. Like if you want to be a successful driver, you gotta put a cap on our road rage, because it's not. I mean, there have been times where these people, like, I remember one time my dad and I were driving, and this was completely the not our fault. This is the driver's fault,
Yeah.
but the driver, we were driving around. It was one time home from school last semester. This happened last semester,
Oh, really?
and a person was he was waiting for cars to not be in his way so he could turn right on a street, and he didn't wait for us. He went in front of us,
He just. Oh my.
and he
goodness.
waited there for about.
I feel like a
5.
lot of people are just impatient.
Yeah, but it doesn't end there, Nicole.
Oh no, what
He-
happened?
He was in front of us, facing straight for like 5 seconds, and he had his finger up from his driver's seat, like he was like scolding us. Sir, you're in the middle of the road.
Yeah,
We're trying to get past.
so many people.
trying
I
to
feel
pass
like they give you looks if you do something.
This wasn't that. It wasn't this. It wasn't this. He was like waving his finger at us,
Really?
and we were like, my dad was like doing the same thing to him from our car,
Really?
but he couldn't hear him. He couldn't
Oh
hear
my
anything.
goodness.
Eventually, the guy in, I think it was like a red Honda.
Okay.
Red Honda. He went, and then we went. It was over. But you pay attention to your heartbeat after those moments, those heated moments where
It's just stressful.
we almost, like I'm thinking about all those times where it's like the adrenaline runs through your
Just
whole,
rushes through.
like arteries and stuff.
Yeah, it's very anxiety.
Yeah, but I mean that's the price that comes with driving.
Yeah, like
Not-
there's gonna be times where you're really stressed or like you don't know what to do and you have to make really quick decisions.
Yeah, but I mean, when you do that, like that's what makes us better drivers.
I feel like, yeah, once you have experienced so much in a car, you start being more cautious. Like ever since the accessory ride, I constantly looking in my mirrors,
Yeah.
constantly, like
And-
always, like
Does the video man have a screen, like, or you have to look through? Doesn't have a screen.
no, not a screen.
That's the old-fashioned way.
It's old. Like it had the CD player. Like we don't have no screen. But even on the road test, I wasn't allowed to use the screen. Did you?
No, because Honda Tucson didn't have a screen.
Oh, see, on the road test, the car that I was in, I don't know, it was very small, but it did have the screen, but you can't use it. But my car tried to like block it off, and I've just got so adapted to not using the screen because I never even used one before, and I feel like I guess in some ways it can be useful, but I don't really use it.
Okay.
I know my mom's car has a screen, but she honestly doesn't really use it unless like she's like parallel parking.
Yeah, that's when it really comes in handy. Those.
Yeah,
Well, Nicole, it's been a really great time
definitely.
talking with you about transportation here at 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Listeners, thank you very much for tuning in to Floor of the Forgotten Borough. Be Aidan Ivers.
And Nicole Facero.
Thank you very much. We will hear you next Wednesday.
Oh yeah,
Same time.
same
9
time, same
9
place.
a.m. And have a great rest of your week, listeners. Enjoy your day.